Good morning, everybody. Thursday, the 31st of July, coming to the end of the month, and in fact, last day of the month. So we shall see what we get. Normally, we do get a bit of a rally into the end of the month, typically from the 28th onwards, which we've kind of seen for the past couple of days. Obviously, we had FOMC yesterday, so I was off. I recommend not trading FOMC days, and that's why I was in a spa day yesterday, which was really nice. And I think it's actually worth doing that each time you get days where it's just less probable in terms of setups. So I may do that going forward. Have that as like a quarterly sort of spa day / relaxation day. So looking here on the NQ, I'm just going to zoom out to the daily. And I'm going to do it on both the ES and the NQ. We'll start with the NQ on the daily, and I'll talk about the two extensions that are in play and the ones that have gone to completions. So just on the daily time frame, we have the traditional from the Trump tweet that has gone all the way to -100. So that has gone all the way to completions. Okay, you can see here. Before that completed the -100, obviously we had T1 and T2 here and here. Once price went to and through those targets, we came into the next extension, which traded on the 23rd of May, and that has also gone through its T1 and T2. -100 takes you up into 23,940s. Now, if you aren't long on any of those retracements, i.e. 23rd of May, which is obviously a while ago, you have to then go down to the lower time frames, which is what we'll discuss today and also what has transpired this week. So you can see here on this yellow tab, which is my one like. Can we get some more likes on the video, guys? Come on. It's nearly Friday. Only 16 viewers. Where is everyone asleep? Who traded FOMC and blew up and now cannot make it today? I don't know. Anyway, this is the weekly divider. And you can see Monday, we pretty much stayed within trend, below the overnight midpoint, and pretty much just stayed in trend. Didn't really do much on Monday. There wasn't really any setups for me today. The only thing you could really do, and I'm going to just now show you the weekly viewpoint, is the traditional, which was from Friday. So you can see they held the 50. You can see once, twice, 3, 4 times. That went to its completion on the news yesterday, and has also completed the 62 and -100 this morning. Okay, so technically speaking, your week is kind of done, but there is still magnitude, which I'm going to discuss. I just want to show you where we have gone this week. So again, 50 on Monday traded, 50 on Tuesday traded, 61 obviously was tagged yesterday on the news, which I didn't do anything on yesterday, but the point being is you closed above and have also completed obviously those targets, 23, 62, -100. Okay, so that's kind of your weekly view. Now, if you want to go either into more of a granular viewpoint, you can, and those extensions for me, what I would be paying attention to is pretty much. This also went same anchor new high. The only extension that I'd be paying attention to is if you zoom out a couple weeks ago, if you remember, on the 5-minute time frame, we traded a traditional, which I think most of you remember this. This was from when we traded the RTH and ETH low of day, and this was a really, really nice traditional. So the traditional traded after taking out those lows, traded the halfway back, and that same anchor new high is what I've drawn. So that same anchor new high from Wednesday, 16th of July, Wednesday, 10 to 12, that same anchor new high is where we came down to this week on the support. So that is that draw here. So if you zoom out, that low, 16th of July, 11 o'clock, half 11, that, I mean, this is just insane, right? That low is literally the low, right? You cannot get any cleaner than that. That was the low yesterday, and it traded again. I wasn't at my PC, so I couldn't trade this, and I wouldn't necessarily trade this with it being FOMC. But look, when the chart is ready, the news will follow. This half an hour candle at 3 o'clock traded that level once. Okay. It then completed the negative 23 profit target on the overnight session this morning. So level is 455 points. 455 points is pretty incredible for an overnight move. Now, obviously, we had Microsoft and Facebook Meta earnings last night, hence the huge move, right? So it's not exactly a normal move, but it's expected in terms of the earnings on, you know, two of the largest companies in the world, right? So I actually did take Meta long on some shares. The expected move was 5%. I took 5%, and it ended up doing like what, 12? I don't even think Meta's on my list. Oh yeah, it is 11%. So I left some on the table, but it is what it is. Anyway, going into today, the only real extension I'll be paying attention to is the one that's currently in play. It is super risky just because, you know, we're at 23,800s. But all I'll be really doing is if this high to high does bid, follow the extensions. But the only thing I don't like is we're so close to the average true range on the day already. So what I would prefer is to go down to the lower time frame and go from yesterday to see if we can get a same anchor new high. So we traded a traditional yesterday. It was sloppy, but it did trade. I would look for potentially a high to high, which would be something like coming down into, you know, 23,700s. But it is about 100 points below us, and ETH wise, it would break trend. And if we look at the week that we've just had, you know, you don't really want to be below that trend, because once you get below it, you pretty much stay below it. You know, Tuesday below, stay below, Wednesday above, and then obviously FOMC breaks, you know, news, so it's not exactly a clean draw. Again, here above, gets below, and pretty much it closes the day at. So there's no real clear trend. So when you're above, and when you're at or below, you're at or below. So again, you really want to be above and stay above. So if we do come down to that support today, I just don't know. I honestly just don't know how clean that reaction would be. I think, unfortunately, you have to just be aggressive. And I think that aggressive trade is pretty much what we've traded so far, which is that 38% retracement. It sucks because, again, it's very aggressive, and I think, unfortunately, you just have to be aggressive with it and accept it. If it's a loss, it's a loss, i.e. if you get stopped out on the 62, all I could say is at least you've been stopped out on a valid area. You know, it's broken the high to high, you're below the overnight midpoint, and you're breaking trend. So it's still an okay stop. It's just you've got such a wide distance between the RTH high from yesterday. So you could still get stopped out, and this could still work, is what I'm trying to say. So follow the extensions until they break, and don't cry, you know, if you get stopped out, basically. That's all I can say. I personally don't care about that sort of stuff, but I know there's a lot of people out there that take one loss and they think their world is over. I don't know how to explain trading to them, but anyway. That is the draw, and again, those completions are 890s. So that is also daily magnitude. So the trade's valid, you just don't have much meat on the bone, really. You got 90 points. So if you want to trade for 90 points, take it. If you want to wait for those deeper retracements, just wait for those deeper retracements, and that will be the high to high from what was 10 past 3 yesterday. That will be 700s, and then that move then takes you from 700s obviously into 934s, which is 230 points. So 230 points as opposed to 80 points is better. It's just I don't know if we're going to get it, that's all. So we just have to keep both of those draws on, and maybe I take both, or maybe I just take one of them and forget the other. So that's the NQ, and I'm showing you that because, drum roll please, the NQ is bullish on the daily on the BX. This is the second day we've closed green on the daily on the BX. The ES is red. So the ES is red, so we switch from the ES to the NQ. Amazingly simple, right? So yeah, we now trade the NQ. As simple as that. No further explanation needed. I do have draws on the ES. We came down to a weekly halfway back yesterday. PS to 61, just like the NQ. Pretty much just like the NQ. And again, completions there at 6490s. same sort of thing as the NQ. But I will be trading the NQ if I trade today. And again, 2 levels that I have pretty much, sorry to keep this long, but 750s, that's going to be that line in the sand. If you hold, brilliant, you trend for the rest of the day. If you come down and touch a couple times, you most likely break and come down to that 700s. And then at that point, it's just whether you really want to participate being below 750s. We do still have Friday, and there is only 324 points left on the week. Now, important to break this down, because as I forgot to do this on Tuesday, last week we didn't, for the past couple of weeks, we've not actually traded the full average true range. So if you look at last week's range for the week was only 368 points. The week prior was for 517. The week prior was 323. The week prior was 520. Okay, so we typically have like 500, then 300, then 500, then 300. And last week was 300. So this week currently is around 480, 500. So if all else equal, we may just not really get much left for the rest of the week, which means you could potentially come back down to fill some of that range. Because remember, this is only going to expand once we either break a high or break a low. So I've marked 324s on both the high and the low of the wick of the current week's candle, because this range is only going to expand once the low gets broken or the high gets broken. And since there's 324 points left either direction, obviously we're at the high end. So it would be crazy for us to come all the way back down and create, 324 points to the downside. It could happen, hence why I drew it out. But I just want you to pay attention to those levels. So you don't have loads of meat left on the bone for this week. And that's if we actually fully complete a full ATR on the week. Again, we haven't been doing that for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So just bear in mind, this could just be the range for the week, and we might just have a slow today and tomorrow. We'll just have to see. I really don't know. But all I do know is that's what the range is. And they do coincide with those completions. If you look on here, 24 200s. If we go to the weekly, 24 200. So it kind of lines up for us to have these higher time frame completions. We'll just have to see if they are going to complete. And again, play them until they break, and just don't be try to be as emotionless as possible. Try not to have as many emotions tied to the actual trade, right? Take it, set it, forget it, and literally just, it's as simple as that, right? Play it until it breaks and move on to the next. So I don't think I've taken, I don't know, I have to track my trades, but I don't think I've taken any losing days this week. I don't think. Didn't trade yesterday. Today's Thursday. So yeah, I've only really traded Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then today's Thursday, obviously. So yeah, we'll see what we can get. And everyone on YouTube, I will jump on to Discord. So if you're not in Discord, click the link below. Join the 7-day free trial, and I will see you all over in Discord.